do you want to start these?
I don't know. I don't even really know how to do this.
Sup? Alright, alright, so welcome everybody. This is Outcast Podcast, OutcastMinds Podcast, number 1. I don't even know what the podcast is called. So our main topic today is depression a choice? And then we're going to kind of talk about side topics that stem from that, but our main topic is depression a choice? We're going to have descriptions so you guys can follow us on everything. When this goes up, we'll have all of that stuff set up, so just look at the description. You'll find links to all of the stuff that you can follow us on. So I guess I'll start off by kind of explaining what this podcast is kind of going to be about. So what I kind of wanted to do is basically just something where people can talk about, stuff that isn't normally talked about, I feel like.
Yeah.
Sort of just like all of the mental issues and problems and things that people go through.
Everything nobody really wants to bring up because they think it's just going to bring negative attention. And because that's how it's been for years. You go, oh, I have depression, and then all of a sudden everybody's just like, oh, you're doing it just to get attention. But then the people really suffering from depression and then have to do it in silence, and that's why things get even worse for them.
Right. So that's kind of one of the things that we're going to talk about as well. Just kind of like the trendiness of having depression,
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll get into that. But basically, I wanted this podcast to be something where we can not only discuss kind of the things that people kind of shy away from, but also a place where our viewers and you guys can, send us your problems and, we can talk about it here. We're not doctors, we're not therapists or anything, but like we've been through a lot.
Yeah, we've both grown up with depression. We've had problems with families, just like how everybody has. Like, we've been through life, just like every other human being. And it's just kind of us putting out our knowledge of what we've been through, and if you've been through things similar, then maybe you'll relate.
Right. I might want to get a little bit closer, just because I can just look on there, it's barely picking up.
Fuck.
All right, so like I said, not only do I want this to be a podcast about us talking about, some of the things that's going on in the world that people kind of shy away from, but just the things that, you guys are going through as well that you kind of want, an outside source from. Sometimes there's things that you wanted to express to people, but not like people Like some stuff you don't want to go to your family, you don't want to go to your friends. You can just come to us, and the internet is kind of a cesspool, but we want this place to at least be somewhat decent enough for you to actually feel safe and being like, hey, I'm going through this. What do you guys, think about it? And you can either do that on the actual YouTube channel, or you can send us messages through Facebook. And like I said, we'll have all of that set up when this actually goes up on YouTube.
You can also ask us individual questions. Like, for each of us, you could ask him something, or you could directly ask me something. Because there might be things I'll understand more than he would, and vice versa.
Right. So I think that's a good enough explanation for now, and we'll get better at this as time goes on. Obviously, we're kind of just winging it right now. Our setup is pretty terrible at the moment, but we'll get it all figured out. Give us feedback on everything, and we'll go from there. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and just move on to our main topic of the day: is depression a choice? And I think it's one of those loaded questions, where it's like, well, yeah, it is, but like, I think it's better to go more in depth about it, because I feel like there's a certain degree where people are, there's people like us, and I mean, you're fine with using us as an example, I'm sure.
Like, there's people that are depressed, but they try to fight the fact that they are depressed, and they just try to go day by day, pushing it down, not focusing on it, even though they might have an attitude all day long, have problems all day long. They're just trying to not push it and be like, it's because I have depression, because you don't want to be targeted. Like, you're just saying you have depression because you want attention, or, this, that, the other. But then there's the other opposite end of it, where there's people that are just constantly, it's my depression, I'm tired because I'm depressed, and they truly are. They just are attention seeking, because it works.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it does.
There's definitely a spectrum of those people who, people like us who are actually, have depression, battling through it, been officially, diagnosed, whatever, you want to take that as. And there's also those people that are like, depression's kind of trendy right now. And it's not so much anymore, I don't think. I still think it's kind of there, but for like a couple years, like I'd say between 2017 and now, there was a huge influx of people who were just like, oh yeah, I'm depressed. Because that was like the cool thing, That,
and then there was everybody on YouTube that was promoting the people that did the therapy over the phone stuff, and in one video they'd say they're like professional over the phone, and then other videos they'd be like, no, it's just somewhere where you can go and vent, which in reality I think that's a good idea, because sometimes you feel better just talking to somebody who doesn't know you personally, doesn't know your friends, don't know your family. They can't really judge all of that, and you can just unload all your garbage.
So like what we're doing?
Yeah, pretty much.
No, but
other than like after this is done, I'm still gonna have to deal with you.
Yeah. That is a good point though, because there was a time where a bunch of YouTubers were being, sponsored by, what was it called, Help? Something like that?
Know.
Help.org or something like that.
There was just so much controversy with it. I didn't even pay attention. I didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
I was on YouTube to watch the people that made me feel a little bit better about my day, so.
And that's the thing too, is like some people, that's enough. But basically the whole controversy is these YouTubers were being paid a lot of money to say, hey, this is a place where you can go and get therapeutic help, and it's a legit thing to do. And it was found out that it's far from that. It's not something that you should, take not necessarily seriously, but it's something that you need to be able to research first. And for some people, that's one of those things that, it may actually help them. But for the most part, it basically came out, and it said in their like terms of service or whatever, they were like, we are not licensed, we're not professionals.
I was just thinking about that, because we actually got up and we looked everything up.
Yeah.
And then we watched our favorite YouTuber. I don't know if you want me to say other people's names and shit, but
no, we'll leave it out for now. I don't want
to be attacked by a Swedish guy.
Well,
that'd be kind of cool though.
That probably you probably just admitted it right there. But no,
there's a lot of Swedish people, okay?
Yeah,
there's a lot of Canadian YouTubers.
God, you and your Canadians.
Well, I'm Canadian, so
I know.
But when we looked it up, it actually said on their site, we are not licensed therapists. We cannot give you full-on diagnosis.
Yeah, we don't hire people who are certified by, the state or, a degree saying that we're able to do this. It would be like us coming on here and being like, yeah, we're certified. We can tell you, everything that you need to know to get better. And like, we can say that, but in legality, we can't do that.
We're not, like, it's how it is. I mean, we've both been through it. Like, we know our sides. We know how we've felt. We know what we've gone through. And a lot of people could relate, because there's a lot of similar situations.
Right.
But we can't, like, if you messaged us saying, these are our problems, like, this is what I'm going through, what's wrong with me, we couldn't straight up tell you, like, oh, you're depressed, this is what you need to do, because we don't know. It could be some completely other issue that nobody knows.
Yeah, and even though we've gone through a lot, there may be things that you guys come at us with that we just, we don't know about, that we haven't gone through. But, that's kind of why we're here. Just, for something like, because I think the concept is definitely, it's good. Like, the concept of not having to go somewhere, because a lot of people who aren't even depressed just don't want to leave their house.
Exactly, like, me, for say, like, I would much rather be able to call somebody up and just unload just all my emotional bullshit.
Exactly.
And then, at the end of it, hang up the phone and know that they're not going to be going around going, holy shit, like, Christine's got some baggage going, like, I'd much rather just unload everything and then walk away. But with my social anxiety, I don't want to sit in a room and have somebody with that degree staring at me, because then I feel judged, and then I get even more anxious, and then it's even more hard.
It's definitely worse when they're just, like, sitting there and, like, literally with their notepad just judging the fuck out of you. Even if they're not, that's just what it feels like. And I feel like, the concept of having, either a phone call, and even just like, like a FaceTime, Skype type thing, even that's still better. Because even though they're still, like, looking at you, it's still...
look away.
Yeah, you can look away, you can, like,
You don't feel the tension in the room. You don't feel the awkwardness in the room.
Right, because you're still in your own place. So I feel like, even though with all the controversy that came out of that, I still feel like the concept itself is still good, which is kind of something that I've personally wanted to do for quite a while. Just didn't really have the means to, which is why now that I kind of do have the means to, this is the thing that I want to do, where we sit down, we talk about all the stuff that comes up in not only our lives, but your guys' lives as well. And just about, the said topics that we kind of come up with, like the ones that we have today that we still haven't really even discussed. Is depression a choice?
No, it's really not. If I could just wake up in the morning and flip that depression switch off and just go about my day, and not feel anything, that would be amazing. But there's definitely days where I wake up and I don't want to get out of bed. I have no motivation, and then it's frustrating because it's like I have no reason to feel this horrible about myself today. There's no reason I should feel like this. I'd be able to wake up and just enjoy each day for what it is. But I can't.
Yeah.
And it sucks because you've got to get up. You've got to do what you got to do. Like, I'm a mom. I can't just lay in bed all day long. When I'm having a hard day, I have to get up. I have to go through the day. I have to go through the motion. And dealing with depression isn't easy when you have to do that. And if I could just stop being depressed, I would. And it's hard. It honestly is the hardest thing to deal with. And there's always going to be somebody out there that's just like, well, go take medication and just get over it. Hey, go do this, go do that. And it's like, it doesn't matter really all the time how much you take, how many therapy sessions you have. Sometimes it's just there. You have no real reason to be depressed. It just hits. And you've just got to take the punch. And you've just got to deal with it for a little bit.
So you don't think depression is a choice?
No. I don't think depression's a choice by far. But I think overplaying your depression is a choice. For getting that playback.
See, that's where I come from in saying that I think depression is a choice. Because like I said earlier about the whole kind of trendiness of it, I feel like there's a lot of people who mix being depressed and having depression into the same thing. Like they mean the same thing, and they don't. It's completely different. You know, it's one thing to be, depressed when a family member dies. Okay, that's a sad thing. You're allowed to be sad.
Or even when, like, a breakup happens, a friendship falls apart, or you're trying to learn something new and it's just not working. I get exactly what you're saying. There's a total difference between having depression and being depressed. Because if you're just being depressed, that will subside on its own. But if
it should, anyways.
Yeah, it should, unless continual shitty things happen. Then it might turn into the other. But having depression, that doesn't go away. Like, you'll definitely have weeks that are, like, amazing weeks. You won't feel depressed, you won't have any problems, but then just one day, just bam, light switch. And and there's really not always a reason for it. Just happens.
Yeah, and so going along with that, when we've both been through family deaths and stuff like that, but
even personal friendship deaths.
Yeah,
and
so when
losing a friend sometimes is harder than a family member.
Yeah. So when we discuss, is depression a choice, do you feel like there should be certain amounts of time that somebody is, like, able to feel, the pain and the grief and of whatever it may be that they're going through, but after a certain point of time it should be like, they should kind of move on from that? Or is that kind of like a, kind of insultive thing to say?
That's kind of hard to explain. I get exactly what you're going at, and, like, I don't want to sound like an ass the way
but you get what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you can't be sad about things for a long time. I'm just saying, is there a point in time where you should finally just, like, let go of the event that happened and just move on?
Well, the way I take that also goes with the different kinds of depression. And, like, if you've had depression your whole life, it's more than likely gonna take you longer to really express that sadness. If you've already had depression your whole life, something will hit you harder. But if you're just more of I don't want to say a normal person, but if you're just more of, like, you get depression when things happen, I do think there's a point where, or if you haven't had depression your whole life, and say your grandma dies, like, obviously you're gonna hurt, and I think, like, it might sound a little harsh, but I think the first month to 2 months after losing somebody, or something happening like that, the first 2 months I feel is like when it's more acceptable to openly grieve and openly show that depression and that sadness and that pain. But once it gets past that point, I feel like that's more of the time when you need to stop putting it out to the world and just kind of, like, always reflecting on that bad thing to everybody. And you need to just start pulling it back in and start resolving it within yourself instead of sharing it with everybody.
Deal with it on your own.
Because after so long, if you just keep talking about it and keep telling everybody how depressed you are, that's when everybody's going to start going, oh, now you're just doing it for attention. You've had long enough of,
Right, but there are some people who could look into that and be like, those people are dicks for telling you that.
See, and I get that. And, like, I don't want to come off as a dick, because there's definitely situations where it takes
a long time. Sometimes it's years, and that's fine. But I think there comes a point where, like you said, openly grieving about something and showing that it's having a huge effect on you as far as your mentality, your depressive state. I think after a certain point, it gets to the point where you are doing it for attention, or it has taken a hold of you and you actually need to seek help.
Exactly. Like, if it's getting to the point where you're having a hard time going throughout your day without it coming up, without it being an issue, without it taking a hold of part of your day, and it's been months, and it's getting to the point where people are asking you, like, why haven't you gotten over this? Like, why aren't you okay yet? Like, that was so long ago. Oh, if it's still controlling you that hard, by that point, you need to either seek out somebody that you feel comfortable venting everything out to, because maybe hey, inside there's an even deeper seated issue with that traumatic event that happened. Maybe it wasn't the traumatic event that really spiraled into this hardcore depression. Maybe it was something that happened before that traumatic event happened with that person or with that object, or something happened that was never really resolved and just pushed down, and then the traumatic event happened, and it just brought it all back.
Yeah. So kind of going along with that, I feel like that sometimes people, I don't want to use labels, but you kind of have to sometimes, just like normal people.
Yeah.
They, like I said, for a couple years, I felt like there was this huge influx of people that just, were depressed. It happened all the time at schools. It happened even celebrities, just like a ton of them just came out and were just like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I have depression. And it's like, okay, but like how, when it's something like that, how believable is it, do you think?
I noticed that, though. But when I noticed it happened after one of our favorite stars passed away. Played the genie, he was in all of our homes, and nobody ever saw him as the sad guy, because he was making everybody laugh. And then I noticed after he passed away from suicide, and it hit everybody. It was hard for everybody. He was a part of all of our homes, but I noticed after that happened, everybody started focusing on, well, if he would have told us he was depressed, if he would have let us know, we could have
I'm pretty sure
helped.
he did, though.
He did.
I mean, then that's what I'm saying, is there's people like that who you can clearly see the signs, who have expressively stated that they are this way. And then there's the other people who just come out with it, after that event. They're like, yeah, I'm depressed too. And it's like, probably, maybe, but how believable is that? How can we, you've never shown it, you've never expressed it, you've never said anything about it. And I think that in itself is another discussion, because there's always that mentality of, well, if I say this, I'm going to get a lot of backlash over it, especially if you're famous, especially if you're in the spotlight all the time. It's kind of the same thing about being gay. Now it's like before it wasn't so accepted. Now I'd say that it's
thrown in your face.
Yeah, well, not even that. It's just, it's more accepted now.
Well, with acceptance comes flaunting.
Yeah, that's true.
Not to take it back way too far, but when everything started to change from where our African American people were, working for us, and then it started...
For us?
Well...
You might want to change that line a little bit.
Okay. Well... Okay. Well,
Are you going to get shut down the first podcast?
Well, when slavery started transitioning, it went from super slow progress of nobody wanted it to happen to, bam, it was all over the news, it was all over the papers, it was everywhere. There was fights, there were rallies, there were everything. It was thrown in the media's face.
Yeah.
And that's what made that change happen. And it really did. And that's also how gay change happened. Because it, you know what I mean. I mean, I'm bisexual as well, so I know exactly how it feels, because for years of my childhood, I found females attractive, but you can't just come out and be like, that girl's hot, without somebody being like, what?
I think bi people even got it worse, because
we couldn't make up our minds.
Yeah, you were always told, well, just pick one, and that's not how it works. And even though, I don't have any, experience with that, it's still seen from an outside perspective. It's still seen as well, why don't you just pick one? Why don't you just stop being bi? Why don't you just stop being depressed? And things don't work that way, except for the people who
are doing it purely because they want to do it.
Following a trend.
Yeah.
And that's the part of the spectrum where I think depression really is a choice, where you're just
you're talking about depression purely because it's going to get your views. It's going to
get you attention. It's going to get, if you're in the spotlight, it's going to get you,
pity. It's going to get you more
views,
Love.
pity, sometimes money. It'll get you, it'll get you in the good side of whatever group that you're in, whether that be your own friend group or whether that be an entire audience because, you're a famous actor or actress or whatever it is that you may be doing.
YouTuber.
But I feel like also, see, here's the thing, is I really wish there wasn't this stigma that, at least in America, I don't know how it is in other countries. I feel like it's the worst here in America. Maybe that's just because I live here. But we put celebrities on such this insane pedestal that we shouldn't. So when things come out where they have feelings, or, they start acting like...
You can't have feelings.
Us regular people, it's like...
It's way done up.
Yeah, it's way done up. It's like, yeah, I have depression. It's like, no, you don't. You're rich. You can't possibly imagine what it's like. And that's a confliction I have within myself, because there's a few celebrities out there, and I'm not going to say who because that's just not something that I'm going to get into, but who have come out expressively stated that they are depressed, they have depression, may or may not have been diagnosed, and they've had it for a really long time. And most of me is like, okay, sure, like you're loaded with money, you have everything you want, you could get anything you wanted, how could you possibly be depressed? But then the depressive side of me, who is like understanding and sympathetic and everything, is just like, well, how could I feel that way though? And so I hate that we have this stigma around celebrities that they can't have real feelings, because these are the people who could actually do something about it, because they have such a wide range of audience, they have such an influence, and they could make all of these changes that would help a lot of people, because so many people look up to them. But we, as normal people, have already ruined that for ourselves because we put them so high up, and it's like, you're not a real person. You exist on a completely different level than the people, underneath you.
Even along with that, like, even with the money aspect, when you think of somebody famous, you go, you can't have a hard life. You have so much money, you can do whatever you want. But you also got to think, when you make less money, you put yourself in a totally different mindset. Like, I've gone from where I was modeling and I was making, like, a few thousand a month, sometimes a few thousand just from one gig. I had money to spend on whatever I wanted, and I was still horribly depressed.
Yeah.
Because when you're put in that spotlight, you are put up on that pedestal. You have to look your best. You have to present yourself a certain way. You have to do these things that everybody wants to see. You can't just be you anymore. Or because if you say something slightly wrong, people are going to take it in the worst way possible.
Yeah.
If you do something that you shouldn't do, like if you go and you get trashed at a party with your friends and somebody takes a picture of you like throwing up in an alley, they could post that somewhere and be like, drunk celebrity spiraling out of control in life, when in reality, you're having one good night with all your friends, being the ghetto little rat that you really are on the inside.
Well, that's the thing, though, is like, remember when Britney Spears shaved her hair?
That was some crazy shit. I
like,
remember
that was like 2007, I think, that she did that. And it's like, she got so much hate and just like backlash for it. But it's like, she was going through a lot of stuff, especially in that kind of time period where things weren't really the same as they are today, especially
that's when everything was really changing from where pictures and movies and stuff like that was the huge thing. Yeah. That's when it started transitioning to internet.
Yeah, entertainment was really becoming a mainstream thing. Not that it wasn't before, but it was like...
It was becoming more prominent in an every single day setting, because... Gotta think, like 15 years ago, the best way to catch up on the new drama of your favorite celebrities was either a magazine or
TMZ
or a daytime talk show
or some like show on like TV.
And you couldn't TiVo that, you couldn't record that and watch it later. No, you had to sit your ass on the couch at that time to find out what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, now you can just get online at whatever time you want. and find the dirt.
The internet has really opened up a lot of things. But I bring that up because that's one of the things that, she was going through a lot of stuff, and she did that and got so much hate and backlash for it. And it's like, people do that all the time.
Yeah.
Like, when they finally just, get to a point where they just have to change something, anything.
Dramatically.
Shave my head, and it's not always, shaving your head, but it's,
changing your entire wardrobe
changing your
style.
look, changing your personality. And, I've been through it a couple times myself. That's
changing
just
the things you do.
That's just a thing that happens. But because she was so high up on a pedestal, she was, I don't know if she was at the peak of her career, but she was definitely high up there.
Yeah.
Because she was so high.
That's when she shaved her head, that's when a lot of controversy was already starting with her with everybody bringing up drugs and rehab and all these other problems that she'd prior had.
Yeah.
But when she shaved her head, nobody really thought about all the things she'd been going through for so long, like family things, career things, relationship, nobody took into account all of the things that were really building up to that huge climax of just overkill. Not really overkill, but you know what I'm saying? Just a huge change.
Yeah.
Everybody just looked at it like, oh, Britney just snapped.
She's gone crazy. It's all them drugs.
Yeah, and nobody really took into account, holy cow, her family hasn't always been the best family. They haven't always been supported. Her fans haven't always been the best. Her trolls have, attacked her.
Her own fans. Her own, her friends probably too.
I mean, there was that video up for a long time of where she was literally backstage and she just got attacked and harassed by 3 male fans for no reason, because she didn't look the way they wanted her to look anymore.
Yeah.
Because she was getting older. I mean, we all get older. And personally, I still think Britney's hot. I always did, though. That was Britney. Even when she shaved her head, she always had the prettiest eyes. When she was happy, she sparkled.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where just, like I said, I wish there wasn't that stigma around celebrities so much, because they're the people who should be really making that difference. They're the people who should be going out on stage.
They should be more real.
Yeah, but
they should be more of a role model.
It's not
than
their
a fake
job
model.
to. It's nobody's job to do that at the
Exactly.
same time. But if there was a certain group of people who were best suited to do that, and I mean best suited as in not necessarily the experiences they've had, I'm sure some of them have, but I mean,
oh yeah,
just best suited audience-wise. Mm-hmm. Millions upon millions of people that they could speak out to.
In different countries even.
Yeah.
And all around the freaking world.
But now we've gotten to the point in America where we just look at them, and unless they've explicitly said they've been this way for years and years and years, we're going to look at them and be like, bullshit.
We haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Where's it been?
Where then? Where has all this sadness and depression been?
But also with that, I can relate, because I have people that have known me for years of my life, and they're like, you're not depressed. You don't have a problem. I'm just like, every time I see you, you're happy, you're fun, you're bubbly, you're joking, and you're the life of the party. Hey, but nobody sees what's really going on behind your closed door unless you want them to. There's days I come home and I literally just slump down on my couch and I'm like, I'm done for the day. This is where I'm at. I just can't.
I'm done. I quit.
I can't with today anymore. I can't emotionally or mentally handle it. I just need to shut down for the day. And that's why I get how celebrities are like that, because if you're constantly putting all of that depression, all that sadness, all that pain on display, at some point it will come across as, is it just for attention or is it real? People will start questioning it, and then it'll be a huge controversy. And then it's just even more problems to deal with, and it makes it worse.
It can be career ending too, because if you're always putting that sort of, emotion and feelings on display, people aren't going to want to hire you.
They're going to look at you as unstable.
Yeah. And they won't want to work with you. They won't want to have anything to do with you. And I think that's also part of the reason why it's harder for them to come out and explicitly say, yeah, I'm fucked up and I've been this way for a really long time. And there's still some celebrities who have done that, who we know about, who are like, yeah, I can see it. That makes perfect sense. But then there's those certain ones that come out after the fact of certain things happening, and they're like, yeah, I'm that way too. And I'm just like,
But are you, though?
I want to believe you, but I also hate you. So it's really hard to have sympathy for those kinds of people, you know.
But one thing I was also thinking about, while hitting my horrible habit, is a lot of people with depression, they have something they attach to when they're really depressed and having a hard time, something that just kind of helps push them through it, which I'm not saying, like, it's a good thing to have these habits. Like, there's a lot of depressed people that turn to drugs. And I'm not talking about, I'm going to go smoke a joint because I'm depressed. No, I'm talking about people that they've dealt with depression for so long that the easiest way for them to not deal with it is heroin, meth, all of that. And it makes me so sad because in reality, they're not taking these drugs because they want to. They're taking them because they don't have anybody that they feel like is there for them, and it's their way to escape from it.
Ooh, okay.
Because that's how I am with my vape. Like, when I'm, like, you've seen me. Hey, there's some days I'll literally just go sit in the bedroom, and I'll just sit and I'll vape and vape and vape and vape. And then at some point, I'll just come back out, and I'll be like, I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Yeah, you're right. Well, what I was going to say is that also brings up something else, because I've seen, sort of along with the depression thing, is like it being a choice. There's people out there who think, you know, being a drug addict is a choice.
It's not.
Well,
it depends. It depends.
See,
There's definitely some people out there that get addicted to drugs because they're partying a lot. They're doing crazy shit. They just want to get to that next level of crazy fun. And then by the time they hit that level, they're so deep into it, they can't come back out easily like they thought they could. And then it's a battle, but they're still choosing to keep doing it. But on the flip side of that, there's people that the only reason they try drugs is because they were so low in life. They were just like, well, can't get any worse from here. Might as well do something to take it away.
Yeah. There's people out there who are
even
like...
with prescription drugs, like Ritalin and...
painkillers,
and
especially.
Xanax and Oxys and all that. There's a lot of people that they don't take it just to take it. They take it because they don't want to feel.
Yeah. There's people who truly believe that being addicted to drugs is a choice. And I feel like that realm isn't really something that I have a right to comment on, just because I've never had any experience with that. But at the same time, I feel like that's a really shitty thing to say. Just like I feel like saying having depression is a choice is a shitty thing to say to somebody who literally cannot
control it.
And it's the same. I feel like it's the exact same thing with drugs.
See,
I feel like the initial, you know, the starting of it, that is your choice.
Oh yeah.
But anything after that, I feel like if you're actively seeking help and you're trying to get off of it, but you're still doing it, I feel like that's not a choice.
No, it's not. At that point, no, it's not.
If you're never doing anything at all and you're just constantly doing it and
you don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, and you don't see a problem, then yeah, like it's a choice.
See, and like along the lines of depression, what this actual podcast is about.
I know. Well, that's the thing too, is
Well,
I like, you know, it's good to talk about other things, you know,
that way
widen the spectrum as
that
well.
way it doesn't just get like, oh, we've heard this.
Yeah.
Just said differently.
And
but, like,
we can talk about happy things sometimes too, but the world fucking sucks. So.
But like with the way you're saying that, like, is depression a choice? The like, depression in itself is not a choice, but the way you put your depression out is a choice.
For sure. Because,
if you're overly expressing your depression, that's when it's going to come off as, wow, you just want attention from this. Do you want me to tell you I'm sad for you?
You want me to show sympathy? And even I get annoyed with it. Not only the depression that I feel within myself, but other people that I see depressed, I'm annoyed.
Like me, sometimes when I'm having a really, really rough day, hey, you don't want to be anywhere around me. And I've had to learn to just kind of accept that, because I've noticed when you force yourself to be around me when I'm having a rough day and you don't feel like you're capable of coping with it, it starts making your mood worse as well. And that you can't control how you're feeling either. And
that may seem kind of harsh, but at the same time, it's true. Sometimes I don't want to deal with it. And I think that's okay to feel that way, especially if you're going through plenty of your own shit, which I am a lot of the time. But I feel like as well, it gets to a point where, like you said, it's how you express it and for how long that you've been doing it, because I don't ever show it. I try my hardest to never show, how miserable I really am, because I don't...
It takes you a lot. It takes you a lot to finally break down. I mean, we've been together for 4 years, and I've only seen you really break down a handful of times, and when that happens, it is so devastating to you.
Yeah, and I think it has to do with the fact that not only was my parents horrible people to me about my depressive state, but being depressed in high school, I don't know how it is now. I haven't been to school in a really long time. But
it hasn't been that long.
It's been quite a while, but it's...
You're only 23. It's only been a few years.
Yeah, but whatever.
Well, then again, when I look back, last time I was in school, I was 17, so that was 5 years ago for me.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
And that's 6 years
high school specifically, because...
High school sucked.
I got my GED, so I didn't even finish the actual high school. I just got my GED so I could start working. But the time that I was there, I got so much shit for,
nothing, really.
Being myself, being depressed, being an outcast. OutcastMinds Podcast. But I think that's what has to do with it. And also, I think it has to do with the fact that I know how annoyed I get when I see other people like that. And I don't want to be that person that's just annoying people with my problems. And I think there's definitely a line where it's just I seriously need help. I need somebody to listen to me. I need somebody to help me. And I've been doing this shit for a really long time, and people are annoyed by it and irritated by it. And I think they have a right to feel that way, especially if you're unloading all of this stuff onto them all the time. And I'm not saying don't ever talk to anyone about your problems. That's the reason why we're here. That's the reason why we're doing it, is so you can do that. But at the same time, I feel like if you are constantly going to your friend every single day saying how depressed you are and how miserable your life is and how many problems you're going through,
they're gonna get to the point where they're just gonna be
I can't help you anymore,
because it's starting to affect them. Because if you don't know how you need help handling it, how are they supposed to help you?
Yeah, all you're doing is you're saying, here's a problem that you probably never experienced, fix it.
Because to get into something personal, that's how it was between you and I when our daughter was born. Our daughter was born extremely early. Hey, she had to fight for literal months in a NICU, and we handled it completely different. Even though we've been with each other for so long, we know each other so well, neither of us could have ever expected the way we were going to handle that situation. Me, I constantly just wanted to talk about it. I needed to vent. I needed to express. I didn't know what I really needed to help me through it. And it made me aggressive and agitated and emotional.
Whereas me, I don't like to talk about anything. So it's really hard to have you coming at me saying that you want to talk about all of your stuff all the time, and me, where I don't like to talk about stuff
and you were going
anytime.
And you were going through the same thing.
Yeah,
the exact
exactly.
same situation, and the way you were expressing it is you were quiet. You either wanted to be at work or asleep. You didn't want to go out and do anything, and you just wanted to be in your bubble, your safe spot. And that made it hard between both of us, because even though we knew each other, we were there for each other. We knew we had each other, but I didn't know what I needed to help me cope with the trauma that was going on, and I didn't know what he needed for me to help him be more of what I felt like I needed, somebody that was going to be more open and there for me and want to distract me from what was going on. And it made it hard, because then I would start lashing out because I didn't know how to help. And in return, he would start lashing out as well, because he didn't know how to help me anymore. It got to the point where we were fighting constantly.
Well,
because we were hurting so bad.
And even though we were going through the same thing, we weren't going through the same things.
Yeah.
So,
we weren't dealing
I
with
didn't
it the
understand
same way.
Probably 90% of the stuff that you were going through, because it's something that I can never experience, childbirth and postpartum and, all of that stuff.
And all the body changes and the mastitis and my lungs almost collapsing. And because of all the pressure from everything, from not supposed to being able to have any children, and to doing it. And with that, I didn't understand what you're going through at all. In my eyes, with how much emotion I was going through, I felt like you were emotionless.
Sometimes I had to be, honestly.
Yeah.
Sometimes just for the sake of myself, I just had to be completely numb to everything, because if I wasn't, then it would have just torn me apart like it's done in the past, and I didn't want to go through that again. I think what are we at? About 50 minutes. You want to take a quick break? Stretch break?
I mean, I'm good.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am going to take a water break, though, because I am sick, because children mess up your entire body. I've never had allergies before in my life. Not once. Ever. Not allergic to anything. Never had allergies. This is my first year after having a child, and these allergies suck. How do you people deal with this as children? How? Because I just want to die most of the day and just fall asleep.
You know what I hear? I hear a lot of complaining. That's what I hear.
I hate allergies.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
You broke the chair.
Oh.
That or I broke the chair.
It's been broken for a while.
It is.
We're, And we're back! Awesome! Okay.
I tried to keep that quiet. Anyway.
So... do we want to continue or kind of move on to something else?
I think we should kind of loop back to where we were supposed to be going with this the whole time.
What, the main topic?
Yeah.
Depression being a choice?
Well, I think we need to start talking more about, how to really look at your depression or go more into personal things. Because...
Yeah.
Me personally, I can honestly say I'm depressed, and there is so many different levels of depression. There is. I'm a manic depressive, which means I can go weeks not feeling depressed at all, being completely fine, and literally nothing at all could happen. I could be sitting on the couch laughing at some stupid thing somebody did, and then a switch, all of a sudden, it's my life's nothing. Mm-hmm. Nothing's worth it anymore. And there's no reason for anything. And for me, it makes me so frustrated when it happens, because the inner turmoil that comes with that. Because in my head, I'm just there's no reason to feel this way. I have had nothing happen to make me feel this way. But then, when I really sit there, I can't help but I'm feeling it. And then it eats me on the inside because I don't want to feel that way. Hey, but I don't have a choice but to feel that way.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those things that just like I was saying earlier about how there's a difference between having depression and being depressed. Because there's bad things that happen where it'll make you sad, it'll make you depressed, and eventually what should happen is, not everybody, but there's that saying, the 7 stages of
grief.
Yeah, is it grief?
Yeah.
I thought grief was one of the stages.
It's the 7 stages of, what's it called? I think it is grief.
Maybe
English, the 7 stages of grief. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the first one is denial. The second one's anger. The third one's, I think that's the actual.
I'm gonna be surprised if
stage.
you can name all these, because I can't.
I know
it exists. That's about it.
I know most of them. So I think the first one, and. My brain's not working.
I think the first one is. I mean, I can just Google it right here.
Well, I know the first one is denial. You're always gonna deny.
Denying.
Deny.
Mate.
I'm a gnomme.
Don't. No. Oh my. Oh.
You made fun of me, and I had to go there.
If people get that, Oh my god.
It'll be funny. I'll honestly laugh. I think it's funny every time it happens.
Yeah, it is.
Like, it's so stupidly funny.
It is grief.
But,
so
yeah.
We'll look here. Maybe we should, research things and become smarter so that we know what the hell we're talking about.
Nah, that's not how YouTube works.
Let's see. Shock and disbelief, denial, guilt, anger, and bargaining, depression,
loneliness, reflection,
reconstruction and working through, and acceptance. So yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. Something bad happens that makes you depressed. Eventually, you should go through all of those things.
I knew all of them but one.
Did you?
Yeah. I knew all of them but one. The one that I had forgotten was... I knew that one.
Anger and bargaining?
Well, no.
The bargaining part I forgot about.
Yeah. It was the anger and bargaining. That's what I forgot. And do you want to know, honestly, why I remember the 7 stages?
Why?
Family Guy. Family Guy is
oh,
why I remember.
Yeah.
When Peter's going through it, literally all at once.
Yeah.
When
just, within 5 seconds.
Him he has, testicular cancer or something like that.
I can't remember.
It was something stupid, and then in the end, he didn't even have it, and everything was fine.
Yeah.
That makes me also think of that episode where he sits on Stewie's harmonica, and, when he's on stage performing his harmonical farts, it falls out.
Oh, yeah.
I love that episode. It's so stupid. It's so cute.
Anyways.
I'm watching Family Guy after this.
Jesus. So basically, these 7 stages are there for a reason. They're the things that nearly everybody goes through, and they should go through them, and eventually, the last one, acceptance, that is the point that you should get to. Now, these stages come and go. They sometimes can take a couple days, a couple weeks, sometimes it's a couple years, but eventually you should get to the point of acceptance, and that's the point where you can finally let the event go. Now, if that doesn't happen, that's the point where either one, you're holding on to it for the attention.
You're refusing to let it go. You're refusing to deal with it.
You are actively refusing to let it go because of the attention that it gets you. Or 2, you can't let it go, and you need to seek some serious help to figure out how you can get to that point. And that's the part of depression being a choice, I feel like, is because everybody gets depressed. Everybody gets sad. Shitty things happen to everybody.
It doesn't matter.
Really,
how much
really
money
shitty
you
things
have.
happen to far less people. But everybody goes through a death. Everybody goes through a breakup. Everybody goes through something that has a pretty impactful effect on them to make them, you know, go through these things.
I'm sorry.
I know she's cute, but can you...
Well, she's just doing something weird. She, like, keeps lifting up her head and then, like, bending her knees, so it looks like she's kind of like baby twerking. When in reality, she's just dreaming, but, like, it's... Anyway, the other thing with these seven... With these 7 stages, though, no, like, what nobody says, like, you can't follow them step by step, because in reality, this isn't a step by step of how to get better. This is your mental state just naturally going through the motion of getting over it. That's how this was made. This is how your body naturally copes with it. Sometimes you do these steps out of line. Like,
or sometimes you don't even do a couple of them at all.
Yeah, sometimes you skip anger and bargaining. Sometimes, you know, you skip the guilt part and you just feel like it was everybody else's fault, not your. Or it's like, there's definitely times you skip steps, you mix them up. Like, there's been a couple different times where instead of... Oh, God, I just totally forgot the word. Sorry, one sec, I'm retarded. But instead of denying something that happened in my life, instead of feeling that, I felt anger. I was mad that it happened, but at the same time, in my head, I was like, it didn't happen. This is all a lie. You guys are just playing with me. This is horrible. Why would you do this? I was mad. So in a way, I was denying, but I was also being aggressive about it because I didn't want to believe it happened, but I was mad that it did. Like, I had already accepted that it happened, and I was angry about it, but at the same time, I didn't want to believe it was happening.
Yeah. It's not a set-in-stone type of thing, but what should be is the very last step, acceptance, and that's the point that you eventually need to get to. And if you don't, you need to get some help.
Yeah. And that's something you shouldn't be ashamed of. Everybody needs help sometimes. Everybody.
Yeah.
Like, that's a natural thing. That's what sets humans aside from other animals. Is because sometimes you just have to find another person to help you. You know, sometimes you just need that extra. And, you know, oh, it's natural. Everybody needs it. Everybody. It's not a weakness. It's not something that you should look down upon somebody on for seeking that help.
Right. And that's one of the big things too, is it's not a weakness to feel a certain way. It's not a weakness to be depressed. It's not a weakness to be miserable all the time. It's not a weakness to seek help. Honestly, it kind of just shows how strong you are.
It really does.
Because not only are you strong enough to have dealt with whatever it is that you're going through for however long it has been, but to also take the initiative and to look within yourself and say, hey, I'm really screwed up and I need, you know, professional help. I need something. It takes a lot of strength to do that. And I don't think a lot of people are willing to admit that that's what is the strong part of it. Everybody's just like, oh, well, you're depressed. Like, you're emotional. You're soft, you know.
Sometimes that's the hardest thing for somebody that's really depressed to do, you know, is to let somebody else in, because a lot of depressed people feel guilty for feeling depressed, and they don't want anybody to know that, and they don't want to be looked down upon for it. They don't want that attention on it.
Yeah.
And sometimes reaching out to help yourself is sometimes the hardest thing to do. I've been there before. You've been there before, where you
Plenty
just
of times.
Exactly, or you don't want anybody to look down on you for feeling this way, so you don't want anybody to know. So when you finally get to the point where you're like, I need to reach out, sometimes you feel guilty for reaching out.
Mm-hmm. And
Which you shouldn't. You shouldn't feel guilty. You shouldn't feel bad.
I feel like it's kind of funny to me. I don't know why it's funny, but it probably shouldn't be funny. But it's kind of funny how similar depression and being gay is, I think.
I'm sorry, I never would have compared the two.
Well, but you know what I'm saying. Like, all the things that we've talked about, like, you don't want to say anything about it. You don't want to bring attention to it. You're seen as weak for being that way. Like, that's all the things about being gay that people said before. It was, like, widely accepted. And that's what I'm saying is, like, it's kind of the same thing.
See, and with that, I know exactly what you're saying, because you know my cousin Cody. We video chat with him.
Did you said his name?
Yeah.
You're just going to put him on blast like that?
I mean, nobody's going to know who he is.
Man, he's going to know.
You know what? I'll call him up in the middle of this, and I'll be like, Cody, I'm talking about you. And then hang up on him, and you know what he'd do? He'd be like, yes, bitch.
Oh, my God.
He wouldn't give a shit. That's my Cody. But that's not where I'm going with this. Growing up, Cody dated girls. He slept with girls. Like, he tried to be the man. Like, he really did. Like, he tried to, like, he overcompensated with
Was
that
he
stuff.
doing it because... Okay, so...
He was doing it because he didn't want to think
So
he was gay.
Was he bi? Or did he just, like, refuse to accept that he was gay?
He refused to accept for a long time, and it was really hard because, like, it sounds weird, but he would admit this to you as well. Cody loved me. Like, me and Cody were so freaking close. Like, I can't even... Like, I could fill a book with all the shenanigans we got into. But I knew Cody was gay before Cody really knew on the inside he was.
Did he... So, you say that he refused to acknowledge that he was gay. Was that because he didn't want to believe it, or everybody else was just like, you know, being gay is bad. You can't be gay.
I think it was a mix because the town we grew up in, you've seen that, you know, shit kicker town. But,
yeah,
like, it was hard to be that way. And when he was going through it, I was going through it because when I realized that my best friend, my cousin, like, my partner in crime, when I realized Cody was gay, was also when I was realizing I'm sexually attracted to females, but I'm also sexually attracted to males. Like, what's going on with me? And...
Is there something wrong with me, too?
Yeah, and it was hard, and I didn't want to reach out. I didn't want to talk to anybody, and one of the hardest things for me is I came out to Cody first. Cody was the first person that knew that I was bisexual. Bisexual. But, like, I remember how hard it was, and it was within months that Cody came to me. And he was literally crying, and it was like 3 a.m, and he came over to my house, because we lived like blocks away from each other. And plus, even if his mom called, she knew exactly where he was, because where else would he be but my house eating my food?
Yeah.
But he was literally sitting on my bed crying, and he was like, I think I'm gay. I really think I'm gay. I've tried to be straight. I've tried to be what my dad wants. I've tried to be manly. I've tried. And I just can't stop thinking about it. I can't stop thinking about how there was one guy that we both knew and we both thought was attractive. And that's how I knew Cody was gay before Cody would really acknowledge it, is because the way we could talk about things.
Yeah.
And I honestly felt horrible when he talked to me about it, when he finally opened up, because I could see how hard it was for him to be, like, looking for that acceptance. When inside, I can tell you the exact first words I said to him after he told me I'm gay. I looked right at him. I was like, I know. Like, don't look at me
I've known
like
for
that.
a long time.
I knew before you knew. And do you think that's going to change how I feel? Like, no, I freaking love you.
So I'm going to put this out there because we're running out of time here.
Well, can I finish real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
But the reason why it made me feel so crummy is, along with depression, he shouldn't have felt guilty and judged for coming out.
Right. Just
like you shouldn't feel guilty or judged for coming to somebody like, I need your help with my depression. Like,
well, depression is genetic too. Like, it's something that's there, and it'll always be there. That's the really shitty thing about depression is
you can't cure it.
You can take plenty of pills, you can have a great life, but it may take a few months, it may take 10 years, but it'll hit you again for no reason. And it's just always going to be there. And, it's sometimes, it doesn't matter. Like, 10 years down the road and you kind of start feeling that depression hitting you again, but you got so many good things in your life. Just because it's there, that doesn't mean that you're instantly going to tank again. It's something that's always there, kind of like...
It's something you've got to learn in your own way to kind of cope with it. And, like, for us, one thing that we do when we both had a hard day, at the end of the day, we'll lay together and we'll watch our favorite YouTubers, our favorite shows, and just doing something like that brings us that kind of relax and that kind of joy helps us kind of not really push the depression down, but it kind of lightens it a little bit. Like, even though we're still feeling it, we're doing something that's actively just helping us take our minds off of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're about out of time here, so this might be our topic for next week, but I'm going to put this out here right now. Being gay is not a choice.
No, it's not. My cousin Cody, he tried for so long to not be who he is, but now he's an amazing drag queen. I fucking love him. Oh my gosh, I wish I could have the confidence he has. And what it took for him to be who he was, he literally, without telling anybody, he didn't even tell me, and I almost beat him up for it, like straight up, I almost beat him up for it. He literally packed all of his stuff in one night without telling anybody, and he moved. And he loves his life. Oh my god, I wish I could have the confidence he has.
Sometimes that's just what you gotta do. You just gotta pack up and leave.
Like, we video chat constantly, and like, you've seen every time me and him video chat, I light up. That's my person. Like,
yeah.
I love my cousin, and I love that he's finally stopped caring about everybody else and started being who he wants.
Right.
He is an amazing person.
And he seems happy every time you talk to him, so...
Even when he's having a hard day, like, he has depression too. Well, and it comes with being gay. It does. And anybody that says gay people don't have a reason to be depressed, they do, because even though it is widely accepted, it is still, in some people's eyes,
I mean, yeah, it's a lot more accepted
different
now, but it's...
Some people can't comprehend, because if
the
you're
stigma
not
is still there.
Like, if you're not that way, how are you supposed to understand how it feels to be like that?
It's the same thing with depression.
Exactly. If you're not a depressed person, like, if you don't have depression, how are you supposed to understand somebody who's been depressed for pretty much all their life?
Right.
Like, it's hard to understand something when you're not that way, but for us who are that way, it's easier for us to understand other people like us. And, like, that's what I want this to be, is more support in a safe space. Talk about stuff like that.
Well, hopefully we can do that. You guys actually respond to us and send us your stuff, send us your issues, because that's kind of what we want this to be about, not just talking about certain topics. I mean, we do want to do that as well, but for the most part, at least me personally, I want it to be we just read people's comments and messages, and like they send us their, you send us your concerns and problems and stuff, and we just kind of talk about them and give our point of view from an outside source. With
all this, it's got me thinking, if, like, neither of us are gay, like, fully gay. Like, I'm bisexual. Oh, but if we have viewers that really just need somebody to be, there and to talk about that and how they've coped with that, I could probably even get a hold of Cody and get him to drive down here.
Yeah. I do want to do guests sometimes, either friends or just family members, join us on here to kind of,
more people that have gone through different things that even we haven't gone through. Like,
yeah.
Cody could tell you things that you would look at him and be like, how are you still here?
Yeah, and Jesus. This
is why that's
that's why we you know, that's why we're here too, because like we've gone through plenty of our own stuff too, and you guys have gone through your own stuff, and we just kind of want to, you know, be that internet support, because everybody knows how the internet is. I mean, we get on YouTube all the time. You obviously get on YouTube, and you know how, you know, terrible it can be sometimes.
See, and with this, we already know there's gonna be trolls. There's gonna be people that are
Yeah,
gonna
fuck you, trolls.
Don't do it like that. I'm sorry, I'm being abusive again. But
Workman's comp. Oh wait.
that's not workman's comp.
Oh yeah, this isn't a job yet. Sorry.
But we know, we're going into this knowing that there's gonna be people that are gonna have nasty, negative things to say.
Well, there's gonna be people who, you know, say, you know, disagree with us about the depression or being gay. Like, there's people who are gonna be like, you're bi, like you support gay people. There's gonna be people out there like that. And
shit, do I support gay people? I've marched in a gay pride march with a guy in a glittery thong.
Oh my god.
And a rainbow wig, and oh my gosh, it was the best experience of my life. I would love to do the gay march back.
I know, you
in
told me
Salt
about
Lake
that.
again. You've seen my picture on the Big Fuzzy Chair at Gay Pride a few years ago. Oh, like,
Yeah.
but that's also something a lot of people don't know about me. Like, a lot of my people that have been around me, they don't really realize that's how I really am. Because the way I work personally is I date men, but when I'm single, that's when I like to be with women. Like, it sounds weird. Everybody has different preferences. Like, I've dated girls before, but I've noticed whenever I'm in a relationship with a girl, I'm never as comfortable and happy in that relationship.
Because women are fucking crazy.
We are. Well,
insane.
Especially my ex, she was like half my size, and I'm really tall, so it's not hard to be half my size. But like when there's the joke about that crazy ex-girlfriend that lights your shit on fire, like I legit have been through that. Like she literally lit my clothes and some of my stuff on fire in my front yard because I dumped her.
Jeez.
It was some crazy.
All right,
shit.
we got to end this shit because we'll go
Next
on
week.
We'll go on for 2 hours if we don't. So hope you guys enjoyed. This is the first OutcastMinds podcast.
Thank you for watching with us.
Yeah, thanks for sticking around. If you made it to the end, thank you. So like I said, everything when this actually goes up,
Feel free to message us on Facebook.
Yeah.
Even leave comments on,
we'll
on
have
YouTube.
We'll have links to everything in the description. So when I actually do make the Facebook, I think that's all I'm gonna do for right now. If
this gets popular, we'll go more into like
we'll
do Instagram of things that like we do in our lives.
Yeah, we'll set up an Instagram, a Twitter probably. I know a lot of people out there use Twitter and it's just easier. But for right now,
I've used Twitter in my life.
Yeah, I've never used Twitter either. But I know a lot of people do use it. Yeah, Reddit would be a good one as well. A lot of people,
what even is Reddit? Like,
it's kind of just like a forum posting.
Like,
thing.
I'm in my 20s and I have no idea what
Reddit
is.
We're not hip with the cool kids anymore. We're old.
I mean, I still sit on the couch and I watch Bear in the Big Blue House. Like,
dude, that show
and Maggie
awesome.
and the Ferocious Beast. I mean, my daughter's not even old enough to pay attention to what's on TV, and I'm just like, for the win.
Yeah.
90s cartoons.
Yeah, we'll have all that stuff in the description, so if you guys want to follow us anywhere, right now it'll just be YouTube and Facebook. If we get, enough people who say that we need to make other places to follow, we'll definitely do that.
Even make requests on subjects you want to hear us discuss.
Yeah, let's give feedback, give us suggestions of what we should talk about. Like I said, leave your comments and messages about stuff that you're going through, and we'll go through all those and talk about some of them every week. And
one thing I'm gonna personally look into though is if we have people that genuinely want to reach out to us and actually talk to us without it being huge.
Yeah.
We could possibly even one day expand to doing Skype where people just come to us and they're like, I just want to talk.
Yeah. Also, I'm going to say this.
Get crazy.
Yeah. There's some crazy people out there. Also, I'm going to say this. Let us know if you want to remain anonymous. I know with, on YouTube, it's not so like that's your face, but on Facebook, if you're sending us messages and you don't want us to like display your name or
Display your picture.
Display your picture or anything, which we can't really do right now anyways, but if you don't want us to say your name, you just want us to read the question. I know some people do like
having
their name said, because then they know that
we're talking to them.
Yeah, we're talking specifically about their problem. But if you're like, I don't want anybody to know this is me, just put anonymous at the end of your message, okay?
That, or if you want to just be called something else so that you know that we're still talking to you, but you don't want your actual name. Put like just a random name, not anything absurd or weird that you just want us to say.
Yeah, don't be weird about it, okay?
Like if your name's Stacy, but you don't want us to call you Stacy, you want us to call you Cinnamon, like, we can do that.
I've never met anyone named Stacy.
I met 3 girls named Stacy.
Really?
They were all assholes. Like,
oh my god.
Just to be honest, like, and all 3 of the Stacys, they'll know exactly who I'm talking about, because every time we hung out, like, there was always an argument every single time. And one of them I hung out with for like 2 years, because she was friends with Carissa. You know which Chris I'm talking about, because you don't like her either. But every single time I was around her, there was always a fight about something. Like, I don't know why. Maybe I just don't have luck with Stacy's, but I have good luck with Carissa's, because I have 3 friends named Carissa.
I know, you know a lot of Carissas. Never met a Stacy, though.
Yeah, I've met a couple.
All right, you can do that too. If you just want to remain anonymous, go ahead and just say anonymous at the end of your message, or if you just want to use a fake name so that we know that we're still talking about you and your question, you can do that too. Shut the
Don't even, it's the allergies.
Yeah.
I need a nap in Family Guy, and then I'm gonna call Cody.
Oh my god.
I actually did tell Cody I'd call him today, because last night I was too tired. He did a show last night though, and so he was out pretty late, I'm sure. I wonder what he wore. I'm gonna ask him for pictures.
We're gonna end it right there. How do we end these?
I don't know.
Just
talk to you again next week. Hey, hopefully at some point we'll get our shit figured out and we'll have a better intro and outro.
Yeah, I'll try to get something figured out. I'll
probably be something weird or stupid.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just shove our cat's face in the camera. That's our goodbye, is just a slow zoom into Moon's face. And then as soon as it gets to her eye, we're gone.
Should I throw the laptop so it looks like
No, we don't have money. We don't have money to buy a new one of those.
See ya!